there! Welcome to our Facebook Live about an adhered box. I'm going to use Beauty Restless collection from Craft the Clock to make this. Several mediums and, well, some fun details, but mainly the elements are cut from the paper collection. So first of all, hopefully you can see and hear me okay. That's the first question I have, so give a thumbs up or a comment that if everything is running smoothly. And well, and I'm hoping that the focus will stay on. But let's see what happens. But this is a thumbs up, perfect. This is what we're doing, or I'm doing. A little wooden box with some butterflies. Kind of dimensional project using mainly papers, but there's some metal embellishments and naturally a lot of different mediums. Let's wait for a few minutes until the clock is 4 in finish time, and then I'll start. Let me check from... Hei Leena! Perfect. Kiitos Leena kommentista. Niin ja siis joo, taas suomeksi, ruotsiksi, englanniksi, mikä tahansa kieli käy. I just said that any questions, just shoot them in Finnish, English, Swedish, and I'll answer them if I notice them. But when I really get going, usually I then kind of, well, forget to check the chat all the time. So let's see how it goes. But anyway, I'll always look through the comments afterwards. So if I miss anything, I'll answer you a bit later. Hi Angela. Hey Marika. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, it's 4, so let's start. So once again, this is something we're doing. And as you can see, I've already prepped the other box a little bit. I painted it using Finnaber metallic paint. This one is called Blackberry. Hey Seija! So it's kind of this, how would I say, purplish brown. It's really kind of fun color because depending what you put next to it, well, like all colors, it's either really purple or then kind of vintagey book cover color. So that was the first thing, and well, you can all paint, so that's why I did it beforehand. And I also adhered the bottom part already, because then I can just keep the book shaped little box like it is, and it doesn't adhere to the table. Hey Olla! So what I'm using to adhere the papers is this soft matte gel, which is a soft body gel medium. You can use craft glue as well, but the soft body gel medium is a handy medium for any kind of paper collaging. These are pieces I already cut out, ready for kind of covering, and I treated all the edges using Vintage Photo distress ink just to give it a little extra touch. So let's start with this one. I don't give any measurements because naturally the boxes are all different sizes. If you happen to have the same box, then just let me know and I'll give the measurements. But it's a little bit smaller than the actual place where I'm putting it. And the back piece and the front piece are of different sizes because of the hinges in the front. So the piece in the back can be a little bit wider because, well, there's no hinges. It can go further towards the spine, but on top you need to leave some room for the hinges to work. I'm also kind of carefree of putting the medium on top of the hinges, so it's kind of handy to every now and then open and close the piece, otherwise maybe it will just dry shut. So I'm just applying kind of a generous layer underneath, kind of giving those little mountain tops even, and then adding the paper on top. There's nothing that unusual in this phase. And then I'm adding also a layer on top, kind of guarding the paper with that gel medium. Depending how much mediums you're going to use afterwards, you can even do this with double-sided tape. And if you're working on top of untreated wood, like this was, then giving it a coat of some kind of primer, gesso or acrylic paint, or then just the gel is handy, because for example here you can see it that the untreated wood naturally absorbs a lot of the medium. So if there's a coating kind of preventing that already, then you don't have to put extra just to keep things sticking where you want them to. So just collaging these papers in place. There's all sorts of different gel mediums. This one is a fluid one, and it's handy for these kinds of light paper collages, but for the really dimensional projects, then there's also sturdier ones, thick heavy body versions, and those are handy if you're doing a really dimensional compositions. Come on, stay. I'm trying to put the paper so that there's a little kind of frame all around. There we go. Now all the little pieces are in place. So let me close this jar. And let's give these a really quick dry. Hej Saila! They are not totally dry, but they are dry enough. Let's continue. Let me put the example project there as well. Next, I'm mimicking kind of the inky midnight blue shades of the paper collection using just watercolors. So I'm mixing a little bit of Prussian blue, like this midnight color of blue, and just black. And these are highly pigmented, these watercolors, so actually I have way too much for adding a little bit of coloring on top. I don't want to cover that beautiful pattern too much, so let's stick to one corner here. Then here we can go a bit further because there's something coming on top. So, whoops. So there needs to be something around the edges, or otherwise nothing will be visible afterwards. Some splashes maybe with the black. This is something I usually do and say that I use splashes to kind of mask the line between the painted and unpainted area. It's an easy way to add a little bit of interest to the otherwise blank space. I can leave the inside to dry on its own because I just need to dry the other kind of what is this, cover, so I can flip it and add paint to here as well. To me, this stage is kind of breaking the blank page in a way, because these papers are really lovely, so adding something on top might be difficult, so I just go in with a color that is kind of a blob. It's something to the page, and then I can just go on without being too worried of covering everything, because I have something already done. So that kind of sparks an interest to do another layer and another layer. And in the end it works, but you just need to have something there. As they say, creativity, sorry, I can't say the word. Creativity needs courage, so you just need to go dive in and just start. Then maybe a hint here as well. I'm not doing anything to the back cover, so I'll do it later. Hi Seth, thank you for joining. I'm having this kiitos sulla, wow heat tool with two different choices for the heat. So I'm trying to use the lower heat, just I don't get the gel underneath bubbling, but it's so much faster with the like more heat, so I usually just go for that. But as it's an acrylic based medium, that gel underneath, so just be careful. Next I add a little bit of stamping, and I usually do it just like this without any acrylic blocks, because I'm not going for the whole stamp, I'm just building some layers, so it's so much easier to just dab the stamp wherever I want. There we go. And Seth, perfect timing, actually. I'm using one of your mediums quite soon, as soon as I have stamping done. Hi Michael. So a little bit here as well. And as you can see, I'm kind of going around and around the same areas. Oopsie daisy, you can't see anything, sorry. Come on, focus. Okay, let's do it like this. Better. So I'm going around the same area, treating the same area. Oops. Maybe a little bit of this as well. There. Done. So next, this one. Icing Ice. This is Seth's medium, and well, I hadn't tried it before, and now I'm using them to most of my projects. I have just a couple of colors, but oh my gosh, these are awesome. These are acrylic glazes, so you can naturally make your own glaze using gel medium to thin the paints and have that kind of see-through acrylic paints. Naturally, some paints are already translucent to begin with, but these are so easy. They are ready to go from the jar. This one is copper, and it gives a lovely shine. And also what it does, because I used watercolor on top of an acrylic gel, so that would react any kind of moisture coming on top. But as this is acrylic, kind of medium, it seals the watercolor in. So on top of the lovely shine that I'm getting a seal to the watercolor. And naturally these kind of building layers and getting texture there. So my husband has seen me do this a couple of times, and usually the first layer is looking like I'm buttering a bread, so he's always a little bit puzzled, like, what are you doing? I'm just dabbing it to the surface and then scraping, let's say, most of it off. But it's this kind of, I'm not sure if your camera can pick it up. There's hints of copper paint there, and you can just generally apply it on top because it's a glaze. So even though you have quite a bit, you can still see something underneath, especially with non-metallic colors. These metallics are opaque, or more opaque than the other ones. But yeah, this is my new happy medium. And there's so much you can do with this stuff. I'm just kind of beginning to play with it. But for this project, I'm using it as a glaze, just to give a little bit of kind of metal shine on top. Here it's so hard to use the palette knife, which I usually use with that, but you can also use a silicone brush, and for this surface it's easier to use that because we're working inside the box. I was really thinking if I should do this piece on its own and then include it inside afterwards. But on the other hand, if I have all the layers done, the paper usually warps a little bit, so that might cause an issue as well. So I decided to put it inside and just work my round with it. Yeah, my layers are not heavy-handed, let's say. For example, here we have already a couple of different layers, but as they are not reaching from corner to corner, and they are mostly like hints, let's say. So there's a lot of going on, even though it doesn't look that busy. Joo, Marika, tää on ihana. Siis mä olen nyt ihan innoissani tähän Ice-juttuun. Niitä on eri värisiä, että metalli antaa tietenkin ihan omanlaista, mutta sitten siellä on semmoinen niin kuin, vähän niin kuin vanhan mehiläisvahan sävy, mikä on kans aivan ihana. A few words in Finnish for Finnish viewers. Then let's see if it's, no, let's dry it a little bit so my stencil won't stick. Again, this is an acrylic based medium, so like I would said, if I'm sticking a paper or even a stencil on top, it might get stuck because it acts as kind of an adhesive. Where did I put it there? In a way, so it's easier to just dry it and avoid having a stencil stuck on top. Then I'm doing a dimensional layer using a stencil and some icing paste. Let me see how this works, because I noticed that this one is a teeny tiny dried. I must have closed the lid poorly last time, but if we would have enough to go for the cover, then I'd be happy. Well, there's something. Let's go with that this time. Again, acrylic based medium, so if you heard some water splashing, it was me putting the stencil in a bucket of water. So here you can see. If you don't have the same icing paste, this is kind of just golden colored modeling paste. So just use gel medium, add some golden color to it, and you have this. Or then another way is to use white regular modeling paste and add color on top. So while this dries, let's start doing the, where did I put it there? These little compositions. There's two of them, one on the inside, one on the outside, and they are mainly done for cut out elements of the collection. So they are based on top of tags to give some kind of support. And we are off focus again. Let me try this trick. Better. Then there's a couple of butterflies, a key. Again, this is kind of looking dimensional detail, but it's just paper. So Mistähän laatikoita saisi? Tämä on itse asiassa Sinellistä ostettu tämä laatikko. So this is from a regular craft store, this little box. But naturally you can use it, whatever. I just like the look of an old book. So yeah, back to these, and a couple of frames I cut out. And then there's also these flowers. Most of the cutting out I already did, so you don't have to watch me cut, but I left a couple of elements. Let's do that. And maybe that. And then we need, there's something on the inside as well. Let's cut that one and that one, for example. I usually use my scissors for fussy cutting. I'm really bad with a craft knife. I find it so much easier to use just scissors. And as you can see, I keep my scissors kind of put and warp the paper around, so it's quite fast. And depending how detailed you want to be, naturally you can go in closer, but usually if you just follow the shape somewhat, it kind of tricks the eye of actually seeing it would be more perfectly cut than it actually is. So samaa värkkiä useammassa värissä ei nyt käyttämättä. Mikä värkki? Siis toi koholle jäävä vai tää litteä-versio? Eli siis Sethin vai Finnabergin juttu? Hunajakennon väri. Melted butter. Whiskey Frost, I think. Whiskey Frost siis mielestäni on se semmonen niinku, se on vähän keltainen, just semmonen niinku hunajakennon vanhan vahan värinen. Mä voin katsoa, jos mä löydän sen tosta äkkiä. Marika was asking about the color because I was talking about this lovely honey kind of color, or what's it called? Honeycomb color of this ice that I've used, and I think it's called Whiskey Frost because I only have 4. So this one, beige meal, I think it was Whiskey Frost. Let me add this to something so you can see. To me, this reminds of kind of, it's a honeycomb, yeah? Wax? Yeah, Whiskey Frost. Thank you, Seth. So somehow that reminds me of beeswax, like if you would do encaustic. But I don't have the butter color, so it might be even better. I only have a couple because I wanted to try them out. There's more coming, let's say, but I wanted eagerly to try them out and ordered a couple in the first place, and then I fell in love, so definitely more. So back to this thingy. Let's treat these with the ink as well. I have kind of, how would I say, not that one, phases where I ink the edges and phases where I don't. With these muted colors, I really felt that treating the edges would be a good thing. And especially with these kinds of elements, as you can kind of hide the white paper showing, because naturally the paper is white in the edge as you cut it from a bigger sheet. So if you go around it with just brownish ink or any kind of neutral, I would say, that matches kind of the color palette you're going for anyway, you are able to even further mask the fact that it's paper. So it looks more like it would be a metal dimensional embellishments. Naturally here I can see it without through the camera lens, so it looks a bit maybe more flat than it does to you guys, but especially in photos that's really dimensional looking key. Then the huge butterfly. If you're curious about what mediums I'm using, or the stencil or the papers, there's a list of everything in my blog. I can add the link later to this, but if you go to my blog, there's all the mediums listed. Trying to ink also the inside to kind of hide the white, and I'm able to get rid of those white dots as well using the ink, so it doesn't look that papery anymore. There's nothing on top but just ink. So let's think about a word to this. Okay, explore and inspire. They just fell off. Let's see if they fit. Explore and inspire. Both fit. Which one do you want me to use? Explore or inspire? I'll rummage through to get the word sheet somewhere. There we go. Inspire. Okay. Inspiring is always good. So let's put some glue quite near, because the word tile is just a teeny tiny bit bigger than my frame for it. So here we go. Gluing that one, let's leave it there because it's the one coming. Oh, come on, focus. Coming there. And then I need something to go with. Aim high, be yourself. Remember, never give up. Determined. Moment. That would fit. So let's cut that one out. Yeah, just a moment, so can cut it there. And again, just, okay, come on. I'm sorry about the focus issues. I'm not sure why my phone camera hates me so much during lives. Oops, there's a lot of it. And then let's put this one. Now they are done and for it to be used. Then let's take the first bigger one. For the top, I'm going to use this flower and the bigger butterfly on top. But that one. And this is my handy tool. Just stapling that in. Then to guide the eye further in, we need to have something to kind of, well, circle, let's say. So for that I'm using just regular wire. I can just do it like this, but if you want it smoother, then by all means take something to wrap it around. So, and then you can manipulate it so it doesn't look so straight anymore. Yeah, that's somewhat good. My dimensional layering, thank you so much. I'm all for dimensional layering. I very seldom do flat projects. My art journals are a mess. I can't use anything other than spiral bound journals, because otherwise they break immediately because there's so much dimension inside. So I've learned it kind of the hard way, and I'm a sucker for dimension, so that's what I'm usually going for. So to add even more dimension, I'm mounting the butterfly with foam tape on top. And there's another reason for the foam tape as well. A bit too big. As you can see a bit later when I reach that point. So let's put the butterfly. Then this one coming on top. Actually, I could use that one then. Again, using foam tape. A bit down, so there's a room for a pin. So as there's the foam tape, I'm able to stick the needle through. So it's almost like those collections with butterflies. I have no clue what are they called in English, but you know, like those natural history thing that there's different species of butterflies. Usually I find them a bit eerie, but as this is a paper butterfly, then I have no problem sticking a pin to it. Then we're going to mount it on top of the box, also using the foam tapes. So let's put a piece there, and then I can even push this a little bit further. Here we go. So now that's ready to go in. Let's do the other one, the one inside. Yay, the paste is almost dry. Perfect. So for this one, let's put that one there so you can see. I used the scissors in that one, but here I'm going to use the key. And then the butterfly will come on top. I was almost going to staple that, but then that would kind of a little bit hinder the effect of actual key, because you can't staple an actual key. So let's just use a foam dot or foam tape here. Sorry. Come on. If this would be an actual key, a metal embellishment, then I would need to have a sturdier adhesive, but as it's so light because it's paper, I'm able to just use foam tape. And then the other pen through here. So it's mimicking the look of the bigger one, just a little bit simpler than the other one. Let's add the wire. As you can see, I didn't stick the wire anyway in there. It's partly because I added later, and partly because, well, I did actually put that one in, so I couldn't staple it fast anymore. But I could adhere it if I want to. Just add a little bit of glue, for example here underneath the butterfly wing, so then you wouldn't be able to pick up where I used the adhesive. But as I haven't stuck this inside the box yet, so I'm able to use the stapler. Maybe 2 staples just to get a little detail there. Here we go. And then these are actually going underneath. I also used a little dried plant in there, so let's layer these together. I'm measuring a little bit so they will actually fit inside the box. And then let's put that on top of the needle. And this is just painter's tape. I'm using that to secure the elements in place, just so long I can add the foam tape on top. Then a piece of foam tape. I used to use just foam dots and was a bit hesitant with the tape, but ever since I got it, I've been using that much more than the little pieces of foam because it's so much easier again. Let's see if I can fit it in. Looking good. Somewhat in the middle, and the plant can be there. Then let's close it and adhere the main version on top. And then it's just a couple of little details left and it's done. Here we go. This one is going to the side, but let's put it there. I'm not totally sure it will hold because I glued naturally this way. That's not the speedy tacky glue, so let's see how it holds there. Then, to kind of blend everything together, I'm using splashes again. That's my go-to. They are a perfect way to mask a transition between things. So if you compare, let me see, try to get these side by side. If you compare this to this one, the composition looks a little bit, it's just floating on top. It doesn't blend to the background that, well, I can't say well, but there's a gap between it and the background. And this is such an easy way to make it blend a bit more. Just adding splashes. These are golden ones. This is chest of gold named acrylic paint, so it will dry golden. So this is an easy way to kind of, because there's the same splashes in the background and the foreground, so on top of the composition, so it will blend. Splatter, yeah. I usually don't use the word splatter quite intentionally, even though I guess it's actually the correct word, because splatter to me means a splatter movie. So I usually, that's why I use splashes. But yeah, these are splatters, but these are nice splatters. Whoops. But if you do use red paint for splashes, whoa, that usually turns out a splatter movie. I usually try to kind of avoid using red, because that is almost instant idea of splashes. You don't have to use that term. It's just my silly mind that makes me think about splatter movies. So almost done. Then two more kind of details. I'm adding some. Good, hold off the red. Yeah. Once I've used it intentionally, it was a Halloween kind of inspired layout I was doing, so there I actually used red splashes. But well, if you use pinkish or kind of cold red, that might do the trick, but usually when I do red, it's always a bit dubious looking. So I'm adding just a couple of actual metal embellishments. Well, the wire is also actual metal, but as there's these kind of rusty tones in the project, I felt that these small details were in order. And it also maybe mimics or makes you think more about this being an actual key, as there is something metal in the project. These are Finnaber mechanicals, but naturally you could use like real screw heads, nuts, bolts, whatever. Plop, something fell off. Let me try to show you the inside, and then let's adhere this little one back. Then to finish the project, I'm using golden wax. Again, kiva kuulla se. Ja jos suomalaiset haluaa, niin mä voin tehdä siis nopean hölpötin suomeksi sitten kohta, mitä tein tässä, vaikka kyllähän se nyt näkyy, mutta. So yeah, back to English a bit. So I'm using wax to finish this off, because there's the bronze detail coming from the ice. So with the wax, I'm able to add just a teeny tiny hint of it where I want, especially around those dark edges. Kind of maybe makes it even more looking like an old book. Now that there's the adhesive, I'm not sure if this is a kind of wise thing to do, to flip it over, but maybe show you a bit better. And well, that's it. Just a whole bunch of different mediums and some fun paper elements, and you're able to do an altered little box. There's, if you have the kind of right papers, let's say, so there's a lot of different elements you can cut out. There's kind of endless possibilities you can just achieve. I'll do a quick kind of run through in Finnish for the project. So if you have any questions, just type them in. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well. Eli pikaisesti ihan suomen kielellä. Pohjana oli siis puinen tämmönen pieni saran laatikko. Tää on tosiaan siis Sinellistä ostettu, mutta mikä tahansa käy. Sitten maalasin sen ensin tällaisella metallinhohtoisella akryylimaalilla. Totta kai taas ihan mikä tahansa maali käy. Mutta se on hyvä maalata ihan siis sen takia, koska toi raakapuu imasee ihan hirveästi. Tietenkin enemmän sitten mitä tahansa mediumia siihen päälle tulee, niin se on vähän niin kuin semmoinen pohjamaalikerros siihen samalla. Sitten kiinnittelin nuo paperit, soft matte gel, eli tommonen nestemäinen gel medium päälle. Sen jälkeen pikkasen kerroksia vesiväreillä leimaamalla. Sitten mun uusi rakkauteni Icing Ice. Siihen päälle vähän kolmiulotteistakin Icing Paste. Sitten noi pääasiallisesti niin kuin koristekerrokset tai toi katseen kohdistus on tehty ihan vaan papereista leikkaamalla elementtejä noista Craftoclockin papereista. Sitten pikkasen kultaroiskeita, vähän metallia sinne joukkoon ja viimeiseksi pikkasen vahaa ympärillä. So that was the thing in Finnish. A quick how to pronounce Finnish for you guys. So after this one has dried, I then work on to the spine and add the similar layers. So I'm going to add a little bit of that texture there and the golden splashes, and same to the backside, but actually it needs now a little bit of drying so these little guys will stay put and don't go all over. So why the pen? First in English, then in Finnish. It's just to kind of mask it to be a natural sample. Ihan vaan siis sen takia, että se näyttäisi semmoiselta niin kuin perhoskokoelmalta, kun niissä on aina noi neulat, millä ne on. Toki siellä on neulat niin kuin siivissäkin, että se pysyy auki, eikä vaan tässä keskellä, mutta se on vaan tämmöinen niin kuin yksityiskohta. Yeah, about the icings. I'm sorry, but they are so wonderful. If you haven't tried, please try. Like one color or a couple of colors. I have 4, but I need more. I've used this one the most. This one is Whiskey Frost. And then a little bit of this copper one, which I used now. And then I have white pearl. And then I have black, but the black I haven't tried yet. But I'm thinking it's going to be like this oily layer. So yay, it's going to be fun. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, just type them in. I'll go through them in a minute. And well, have a nice day or evening or night, depending where you are. Thank you so much. Bye!